Happy Friday, Las Vegas. Whew, what a week. I am here with co-host David Figler and contributor Andrew Corrali. And today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're talking about that wild Trump interview where he calls Nevada disgraceful, tourists gone wild, and the Go Back to California license plate. It's Friday, July 14th. I'm Vogue Robinson, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, David. How are y'all doing?
Good. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Vogue. Good morning, Andrew. It's Friday. Always an exciting day of the week. That Friday.
We made it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the topics of the day. And we're going to start where everybody loves to start, which is with the former president coming into town to tell us that our entire state is disgraceful in an interview. So
why not?
Andrew, do you want to tell us the story?
Yeah, so ex-President Trump recently described Nevada as a disgraceful state during a recent interview in Las Vegas. And I just love the word disgraceful. It has this sort of morally indignant texture that has so many layers to it and says, so much about who Trump is. But yeah, to kind of summarize, Trump recently had an interview with an online conservative publication called the Nevada Globe, which my understanding is run out of somewhere in northern Nevada. And in this interview, quite predictably, he claimed that he had won Nevada in both 2016 and 2020, but lost to election fraud. And in that sense, there's really nothing new or interesting about this interview beyond, him just regurgitating the same McFlurry of lies about, losing the election and there being fraud. And it's more or less, this confusing word salad of hoax this, witch hunt that, fraud this. I thought the most interesting thing, though, is that he calls out former Nevada AG and failed gubernatorial candidate Adam Laxalt, who is now backing Ron DeSantis in 2024. Laxalt, of course, we know, co-chaired Trump's 2020 re-election campaign in Nevada and happily echoed Trump's election lies about fraud after Trump lost Nevada. But I thought what was interesting is, Trump applies the same obsessive language about weakness and strength, toward Adam Laxalt, who he calls, weak and cowardly, and implies that there's some kind of genetic degradation going on in his family line, because he calls his sort of political legacy weaker and weaker.
Yes, Laxalt was a very weak candidate. He was pathetic, is the quote from the article. And it was, Yeah,
no, his grandfather was a storied senator and political influencer. His birth father, which he had no relationship with for a very long time, from what I understand, was a senator from New Mexico.
Yeah. I mean, I almost thought of this interview, which is, not really even an interview. It's kind of like sadly credulous hero worship masquerading as, actual journalism. But it is an interesting kind of petri dish to look at some of, this language, this obsession with strength, this obsession with, weakness. And, those are like, major authoritarian red flags. And him, sort of beating on a state that he needs, it kind of, doesn't matter when it comes to his, actual, realistic election prospects in Nevada, because at this point, there's kind of nothing that he could say to turn off this crazily resilient, rabid loyalty that he has among the MAGA cult, and so I think there's always going to be this, fanatical contingent of people who embrace this kind of messianic nationalism that he peddles with this really, super scary apocalyptic language. And I thought that was kind of like the most interesting thing from the interview. Otherwise, it's, it was something he gave this woman at Nevada Globe, Megan Barth, on the way to like a UFC Unfiltered podcast interview. So I thought that was kind of bleakly humorous as well.
And we're using interview in quotes because, there were no follow-up questions. It was basically like, what's your favorite color type interview?
Damn, David.
No, seriously, I think that
I
literally
think the
was
first question
question.
was like, "What's your favorite childhood memory?"
Childhood memory.
I think the attempt was a profile, though. I feel like it was like
Was it?
that. It started
Did
there
you-
was like an attempt to humanize him, and it got close. It still didn't have any like
Really?
concrete details.
We're in 2023, Vogue, and we're talking about humanizing an
I'm just
individual.
telling
I mean,
you
first off,
Why
newsflash, he's
this
a
interviewer
human.
might have started with that question instead of digging into
yeah.
all the things that really needed to be discussed. I think that was the attempt.
The first question is actually strangely insightful because she asks, like, "What's your favorite childhood memory?" And he blathers on about all these generalities about how he had a strong and loving family to raise him. But he says something really interesting in there because he says, he has this throwaway line where he says, like, "And a strong and loving family is a great advantage in life. And if you don't have it, you suffer." And I thought, wow, is that like some kind of
See?
inadvertent admission that white privilege exists
See?
and that he is a product of that?
Thank you.
And so there was like this moment of like,
was
oh my
right
God,
there.
he's coming dangerously close to being woke.
I wouldn't
my
call it
God.
woke, but it was the closest thing to him admitting, there's a difference. There's a difference between, how people grow up and what kind of families they have. But it also was still like the propaganda of like, marriage is like the foundation of all good American families, and people should be married and loving parents. So that combination, and so I think it makes for a caricature, or not a caricature, but it makes for like painting a photo, and it's a very like blurry photo, and if you squint your eyes, and it kind of looks like maybe there's something clear there. And it was the closest thing. It was the closest thing to me being
To what
like,
end, though? I mean, who?
Yeah,
who-
to
at this
no
point,
end.
who cares? I'm just going to say, the guy comes into our state, says it wrong, says negative things, calls us disgraceful, and we're chatting about it. And I guess mission accomplished for him is just to keep him relevant somehow, but I don't know. It just feels ugly even talking about it in any terms because he doesn't care about us. Why should we be caring so much about him?
Fair enough, yeah.
But coming to the state shows a care. We're the first stop. We were his first stop in his campaign. So there's a desire to gather whatever votes are present in our state. He wants them. And I mean, we were blue in 2020 and we elected a Republican governor in 2022. So I know we're a purple state. Do you think we're going to stay in this purple range? Or do you think these visits that he's having and these multiple, chatting it up, photos of him with Guy Fieri and other kind of people who are staples in our city, are these the ways? Is this the path for Trump to win Nevada?
Yeah, and I think to answer David's question is that Nevada is still a competitive state, so there was some purpose behind this interview, and I'm not a pundit, and I have no sort of granular insight into the demographics and the sort of political texture of Nevada, but I think it's safe to say that we're going to be purple for a long time. We're going to be a switch for decades to come, I would venture.
So are you saying, Andrew, that in your opinion, Nevada will remain a place where there's a purple rain?
Oh, God.
One might actually say that. I will endorse that pun by answering a hearty yes. That's a good one. I'm gonna steal that. Purple rain.
I am curious about if the celebrities are going to keep kind of flocking to him at those big sporting type events, because we have lots of sporting type events. He may come back to more. I really, really wonder if the shaming of people like Guy Fieri and Mark Wahlberg has any impact, or if, next thing we're going to see is him, skipping down the strip with Carrot Top.
Oh, what an image. That's apocalyptic.
Hey, Las Vegas, Vogue here. On this podcast, we work hard to bring you the most important and entertaining conversations happening around our city. But that's not all we do. We also have a daily newsletter that brings you so much more. Our free daily newsletter, Hey Las Vegas, is written and curated by Scott Dickensheets. You may have heard him behind the mic a couple times. The Hey Las Vegas newsletter is your daily toolkit for being a more informed and engaged citizen of Vegas. It's packed with recommendations, tips, and secrets for seizing everything that Las Vegas has to offer. You can subscribe to Hey Las Vegas at lasvegas.citycast.fm/newsletter. So let's talk about other wild things in our city. Let's talk about our tourists that have gone wild. I feel like I used to blame the tourists kind of acting a fool on, okay, people are free, people are vaccinated, and they're all the way up. They don't know how to act. But at this point, we're a couple years into people being vaccinated, and it's still like, oh, you forgot how to act when you go outside. So there were 4 people at the Wynn, female presenting, and they were fighting each other, and they were nearby a poker tournament. One was trying to pull the other off of a scooter. Other people's underwear was exposed. And the best thing about the videos, because there were multiple videos, the best thing about these videos is that Adele's Rolling in the Deep was playing in the background.
Oh, no.
So in the background, it's like you could have had it all. Rolling in the deep. And that's the best part of that one, y'all.
I love it.
So that's one hot mess. Then a Frontier flight was diverted to Denver because there was a fight on the plane, apparently. People were in arguments. And then a man held a woman hostage and broke a window at Caesars. And then there was a naked guy at Harris. And this is like from the weekend to Tuesday, all of this has happened. So from last weekend to this Tuesday, all of these shenanigans have occurred.
And that's not even mentioning the Britney slap.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even look at that.
Oh, that's right.
That also happened in a casino.
So do these articles tell us something important about our tourism industry or the safety in our casinos? Or is this just voyeurism masquerading as news?
It can't be both.
I know.
There have been a lot of comments, right, on all these events. And obviously they're all unique and individual. Most of them seem to have some connection to drugs or alcohol. I think the naked guy who got into a fight with a one-legged man and then jumped up butt naked on a table in Harrah's claims that he was drugged. From the 4 women who got into a brawl to what was shaping up to be this sort of domestic violence horror nightmare of someone using meth and breaking out windows and destroying a suite up at Caesars. There is a lot of discussion about the role, or at least the perception, of the welcomeness of basically just kind of getting high and having your Vegas fun. And there's now some pushback on whether or not we invite that too much as a city, that this is a place to cut loose and do something different. And boy, people are certainly cutting loose this last week.
Mm-hmm. So, David, is your feeling that, this kind of behavior is increasing, or is it just more visible in the age of ubiquitous, surveilling, social media everywhere? Because, everyone is ready at a moment's notice to, whip out their phone and record something that even seems like it might blow up on TikTok or, get views on Twitter. I wonder that myself, and I don't know the answer.
That's a really great question. And I think it asks a lot about is there an overuse of drugs and alcohol in Las Vegas? Are illegal drugs especially more prevalent or available here? Are people bringing them from other places and feeling like, oh, I wouldn't use this back home, but I will use this here, but I don't know how to do it?
I was going to say, and I do wonder whether, encouraging permissiveness about Vegas with the increasingly lax attitude towards, recreational drug use is kind of creating this cocktail of bad behavior. And I think, boy, if you think it's bad now, wait till consumption lounges are, dotting Las Vegas as ubiquitously as...
No. First of all, that won't be on the Strip. Second of all, it's a whole different vibe. Look, I was down on the Strip a couple weekends ago. It was constant crowded action, if that makes sense.
In a good way
there
or a
was
bad way?
Activity. Well, I mean, hard to say. There was a lot of screaming, yelling, people pushing. It just felt really uncomfortable. I wanted to get out of there. But more than anything, I noted that, and I'm a Vegas kid who kind of grew up in and around those casinos. One thing I didn't see that I used to see all the time as a kid, security everywhere. There wasn't security everywhere.
Oh.
That's the kind of crazy thing. There was just no presence. It was all kind of self-regulated. Now, I imagine if something went sideways, there would probably be a lot of security everywhere. There would be because, you imagine the cameras are still everywhere. But there's also this concern that we're not paying security guards enough, that many of the casinos are understaffed, that there are all these tensions about, what area is to be policed and what areas to just be, law of the land. It's a very different Las Vegas than I remember for a while.
Interesting. Yeah, and your point about security guards is definitely noted. And another thing about security guards, it's like I used to afford some level of like professional esteem to security guards. And maybe that was just, my youth and just attributing that because they were like authority figures.
Right.
But nowadays they look like 11-year-olds in like those bright yellow shirts on their bicycles with the oversized helmet. And I'm like, that's quaint, but also troubling.
You don't feel secure.
I feel like security could be a bit more enhanced.
But people are always going to come to Vegas and, feel like there's free reign to act the fool. And sometimes it gets out of control, and sometimes somebody doses your drink, apparently, or allegedly.
Oh, no, it's been 20 years since the phrase, the slogan of what happens here stays here debuted. And I find it like super interesting because now I feel like it's coming back to bite us. It's part of the problem is that as long as people think that they can just do whatever they want and we're a warp zone, we're a desert Bermuda Triangle of it never happened. We're going to keep seeing issues like this where people act outside of their normal character or people try drugs they've never tried. They're doing things that maybe is just like over the top, way beyond because they want to try something different. And it's a little frightening. Like, I hope people stop playing games with their lives.
Maybe we need a new campaign that focuses on tasteful restraint and decorum. Nah, probably not.
Go for it. Yes, that's exactly where we're headed. I'm thinking the marketing people are quietly saying, this is all good.
Yeah.
Just not out loud.
Vegas, have a good time. Get home safe. We love you. Thanks for your money.
Vegas, you just don't know.
I don't know. We're going to have to work on that, y'all. We're going to figure out a better way.
Vegas, gamble with your life.
No, stop gambling with your life.
Oh, no. Where are you going with this dark Andrew Corrali?
Damn, dark energy.
All right. Vegas, we're going to come up with a new slogan. I know we have a new one already, but I think we need to start brainstorming. In the meantime, I feel like what might be the new slogan is go back to California because there was a whole ass license plate that people had for a limited period of time. So, David, please tell us about this license plate and its recall.
Yeah, this is a funny story, but also it's kind of like So this is a Nevada motorist, as you mentioned, has had a license plate for a while that said GOBK2CA, which he proudly proclaimed meant go back to California, which of course is, embodying that California hate. And so this just has like three threads for me. First of all, he gets this notice. He says your license plate is being recalled. And of course, here in Nevada, we could have personalized license plates. They could be up to 7 letters, and there's a couple of rules. And we'll probably talk about some of those rules because he obviously violated one. And the one that they told him he violated was that he was being derogatory towards a large group, here that being Californians, that didn't like him at all. So he has an appellate process. Most people don't. They just give it up and then they pick another one. He's going through that. That's ongoing right now. It could drag on for a really long time, but it does kind of create a bunch of questions. Number one, is California hate so deep that we need to put it on our license plates? But also, like, what are the boundaries and doesn't this impact free speech? But also, DMV, nobody likes you. What are we going to do? I mean, what's your take on this, Andrew?
I mean, I was impressed to learn that there is this 13-member plate committee that convenes for the vanity
plate committee, the commission.
Yeah, exactly. And they convene to adjudicate, quote, suspicious messages on, vanity plates. And I just thought, peak bureaucracy, and I had this image of them, wearing like, cowls and holding candles as the Star Chamber convenes to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down to a possibly offensive plate.
Who's to say it's not like that?
Their name tags are actual license plates with their nicknames on it.
Yeah, and I could see, stuff that is just like, blatantly offensive, racist, sexist. Go back to California, let the guy have his snark, whatever. I say to all Californians who want to come to Vegas, welcome. Vegas was invented by outsiders. Bring more. So I have no weird defensive nativist impulse to sort of turn off the spigot and say, can't come anymore.
I just want to throw out one quick stat that essentially a little bit more than 1 out of 4 Nevadans were even born in Nevada. We have the lowest state-born group. The largest group of people who are here other than that are Californians. 1 out of every 5 people here is born in California. So, you could talk about Nevada in a lot of ways. We have been shaped and formed in a lot of ways by California. So to say, go home, California, that just seems weird to me.
As the Californian in the conversation.
Thank you.
Welcome, Vogue. A belated welcome to you.
Why, thank you. No, I was born in Arizona, actually, and then grew up in Cali. So I don't know if I would say, okay, Californians are forming Nevada. I wouldn't go that far. I think that's like a nature-nurture conversation. And I think living in Nevada has definitely changed the way that I operate, how I relate to community, the way that I interact with other human beings, because I had to adapt. There are different things about living, moving from one place to another that requires the mover to actually adapt to being here. I definitely know that, Nevada isn't the only state that has beef with Californians moving into their state. And it's mostly, a lot of times when Californians move, it's because our state keeps getting more and more expensive. And so therefore you move somewhere else where it's less expensive to move, and then real estate things happen and prices go up. And that's really, I think, the heart of why people go back to California. But even my husband, AJ, will be in the car and we'll drive past someone who still has California plates, and he'll go back to California. I'll be like, sir, I'm your spouse.
Sir.
I'm not.
Well, to my point, I'm saying whatever people think makes Nevada uniquely Nevadan was probably a conversation or a development that happened with lots of Californians in the mix. You know what I'm saying? It's like California's imprint is on every aspect of Nevada as we have it now. So is it basically, shut the barn door, no more Californians? That's the thing. It's just people are just so knee-jerk about this sort of California migration when Nevada is the beneficiary of a California migration, and that's how we became whoever we are in a lot of ways. And Midwest and the East Coast. We are the melting pot of the melting pot and all comers. Apparently, except for Californians. But getting back to the DMV...
I'm in deep disagreement with that statement, David. I just wanted to go on the record and say that.
Please my gosh. Well,
to the DMV we go.
To the DMV we go, did this really make a defamatory reference to a person or group? I mean, what a weird friggin' standard. The standards are very clear. It expresses contempt, ridicule, or superiority of race, ethnic heritage, religion, all that kind of stuff. If it's profane, if it has drug or gang references, I get all that stuff. But, we've got these sort of citizens going out there filling out this form, which says, I find the license plate listed above to be inappropriate for the following reasons. I think this is what that license plate means. And then, the hooded candle holding junta says, okay, thumbs down. There's a huge First Amendment issue here, I think, too. And I'm not the only one who thinks that is kind of an issue across the state, but not apparently in Nevada.
Interesting. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, actually, I had a license plate rejected. Yeah, because they actually have a technical rule. I had the most clever license plate idea ever that I wanted, and I was so excited because I always get vanity license plates. My last car was Laserhawk LZR HWK.
Wow.
Of course it was.
But for my new car, I wanted to get TKTK.
Okay.
And it was kind of an editor joke, right? Like, I can't think of what I'm going to put, so I'll put TKTK in the meantime. Ha ha ha.
Funny.
They actually don't let you have repeating letter and number combinations.
Okay, why?
Random, right? I don't know. I have no idea.
They have all sorts of rules. Some of the rules are in the actual statutes. Some are just kind of administrative. Like, they have all these rules around Q's and O's and ones and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of weird things. So yeah, I had to go with an alternate.
Now I want to do a whole episode about Vegas vanity plates, because I do feel like I've seen more here than I have seen anywhere else.
We always play that game where you try to figure out what it means, but then you come up with outrageous ways that clearly are not what the person intended. Like with this California guy, we'd be like, Burger King, see ya at Burger King is what he's trying to, we would just goof on it a little bit, but we do that all the time.
David, if you were going to create your own vanity license plates, what would you express on your controversial opinion?
Well, apparently Laserhawk's up for grabs, so I'm gonna take that guy. That's mine, Laserhawk. If you see me tooling around in my electric car and it says Laserhawk, you know it's me. Say hi, honk twice if you like the show. How about you, Vogue?
Well, there is a tag already that's for like Nevadans for the arts. So I have my friend, I think she actually lobbied to like get that one, and so it goes back into like the schools
right.
and like art education. But yeah, I would just go get the one that supports the arts. Like I'm pretty straightforward with mine.
Oh, but then if you could put your own letters or numbers on it, what would you do with that? So you already have the arts background, which is very cool. And so there are some very cool ones, and a lot of people go for that. But then they also put, Poet L.
Custom message.
No.
Custom message.
I would keep my raggedy letters that I currently have.
I was going to say, and one argument in favor of being sort of more, liberal toward, accepting vanity plates is that you pay extra. So that money goes into the tax coffers, presumably, and supports the public good. So
The streets.
in as much as the state is recouping, fees, vanity plates serve, an administrative function, I guess you could say.
Yes, just don't be sexual or vulgar, because it's Las Vegas after all.
Oh, David.
Wait, what?
Make up your mind. What kind of Vegas do you want us to be? Well, you guys, I don't even know what this weekend is going to look like, but I hope that it's less violent than what we have presently witnessed.
Welcome to Vegas. Handle your shit. Come on. That's the motto.
I want to save that. Can we save that?
HDLYRSHT.
Boom.
Is that 7
Handle
letters?
your shit.
Andrew and
I think it was
David,
8
thank you
letters.
so much for this conversation. I'm so troubled by so many things that have occurred this week, and I hope next week is much better.
Same here.
Great being here. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our lead producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our newsletter editor is Scott Dickensheets, and our hosts are David Figler and me, Vogue Robinson. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, and All the Kimonos. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nuwuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
Someone needs to get CTYCST.
Ooh.
Huh?
I wonder if
It might be
David
open.
Plotz
I'm gonna
already
go to the
has
website and check.
it.
Catty cat. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Caddy's cause.
My the one I had to go with is my online chess handle, which is Lurker, LURKR, and I always joke that it's not very popular when I happen to be driving by an elementary school.
schools. Yeah.
You guys, no. That's terrible.